Korea, surrounded by the sea. Ocean is not only the driving force for future, but also place of human life and economy. Trade between countries has been increasing due to globalization, so the vessels are also rapidly getting larger and faster. Especially with the growth of China, the traffic of Northeast Asian countries has been increasing, and the probability of large-scale accident from happening has increased as well. Danger of ship collision in fog. Sea fog typically occurs as a result of warm air advection over a region affected by a cold ocean current. Sea fog frequently occurs from April to October, but most often in July in the sea surrounding Korea. Geographically, it occurs most frequently in the Bohai Sea, the Yellow Sea, and the South Sea. Collision accidents in fog occur 6 times more often than the accidents without fog. The rate of total loss of ship from the accidents in fog is 8.7%, which is significantly higher than the entire collision rate of 1.7%. On the dawn of May 12, 2007, a South Korean cargo vessel collided with a St. Vincent registered container ship in heavy fog on the sea 38 miles south of the lighthouse at Tasan, Shandong, China. As a result, the Korean vessel sank, and 16 seafarers on board either went missing or lost their lives. Sinking of the Golden Rose. The Korean registered cargo vessel Golden Rose is 101.58 meters long, 61.31 wide, and 8.4 meters deep. This steel cargo ship consisted of 4 peak tank, cargo holds, engine room, as well as after tank. 16 crew, including 7 South Koreans, were on board the Golden Rose. After loading 277 rolls of steel coils on number 1 and number 2 cargo holds at the port of Incheon, the Golden Rose departed for Tangjin Port in South Korea at around 8:30 a.m. May 11, 2007. In the meantime, the St. Vincent registered Jincheng, which collided with the Golden Rose, has dimensions of 113 meters long, 19 meters wide, and 8.5 meters deep. This container ship consisted of cargo holds number 1 to 5, engine room, as well as after tank with 19 Chinese seafarers on board. After loading 155 TEU containers at the port of Yantai, Jincheng departed for the port of Dalian on May 11, 2007, 11:35 p.m. On the day of the accident at 2 a.m., there was a mild southeasterly wind and fog forming around Tianjin, Qingdao, and Dalian areas that surrounded the Bohai Sea and the Yellow Sea. As the Golden Rose, which departed the port of Yingkou, China, was passing through the Bohai Sea at 10.7 knots, the visibility was restricted due to thick fog at unknown time. However, the officer on duty who did not report to the master the fact that the visibility was restricted, he was on duty along with a quartermaster without fog signal. He continued the voyage with a true course of approximately 107 degrees at 10.8 knots. Meanwhile, after departing the port of Yantai, Jincheng started its voyage with a fair visibility. After an hour and a half at around 1 a.m., May 12th, fog started forming, causing the visibility to be limited within 0.5 miles. The officer on duty on this ship also neither reported to the master the fact that the visibility was restricted, nor did prepare the main engine to be usable any time. Without using fog signal, she continued her voyage on true course of approximately 15 degrees and full speed of 13.3 to 13.6 knots. At around 2:30 a.m., the officer on duty first observed the Golden Rose on radar from the bow to 36 degrees on the port side around 11.29 miles away. Meanwhile, the visibility was worsened at 50 to 60 meters as fog got thicker. At about 3 a.m., Jincheng observed the Golden Rose again from the bow to 31 degrees on the port side at 2.5 miles away. CPA from the Golden Rose at the time was 0.6 to 0.7 miles, and she proceeded while expecting the Golden Rose to pass her from port to starboard side. At about 3:03 a.m., as two vessels approached within 1.56 miles from each other, to avoid the risk of collision, the Golden Rose changed course to starboard side at a 177-degree true course. The officer on duty of Xinjiang, who did not realize this, suddenly sensed risk after confirming the Golden Rose 0.75 miles away around 3:05 a.m. He put the main engine telegraph to stop and turned the rudder to port side while steering in automatic mode. As a result, two vessels approached within 0.26 miles from each other. And around 3:07 a.m., while the Golden Rose turned the rudder hard starboard, she stopped the main engine and tried to put in a stern direction to avoid the collision. At 3:08 and 30 seconds a.m. from the lighthouse of Tasan, Shandao, China, approximately 38 miles off 189 degrees true course in an area near latitude 38 degrees 14 minutes 25 seconds north, longitude 121 degrees 42 minutes 10 seconds east. While turning right, the starboard side of the Golden Rose's cargo hold number 2 collided with left-turning Xinjiang's bulbous bow at the port side at 30 to 40 degrees. While bulbous bow of Xinjiang was struck in the starboard shell plating of the Golden Rose's cargo hold number 2, the Golden Rose kept turning right and Xinjiang continued making left turn. The starboard after part of the Golden Rose and the shell plating on starboard side of Xinjiang's cargo hold number 4 collided once again for the second time. After that, Xinjiang passed by the rear side of the Golden Rose. The Golden Rose sank near the accident area within 30 seconds to 1 minute after the second collision, without being able to send a distress signal. After the collision, the Golden Rose sustained a 6-meter wide and 5.3-meter tall punctured hole on the starboard side shell plating, allowing tremendous amount of water to flow into the cargo hold, resulting in immediate sinking of the vessel. On the other hand, Xinjiang's bulbous bow was crushed and the shell on the starboard side of cargo hold number 4 sustained a minor damage without casualty. After the collision, because there was no response from the Golden Rose through VHF, Xinjiang continued the voyage for her destination, the port of Dalian, without any rescue activity. Both domestic and foreign media outlets showed great interest in missing crew's whereabouts and the cause of accident as an important daily news. It received a national attention. The Korean Maritime Safety Tribunal started joint investigation with China Maritime Safety Administration into this accident. It successfully concluded its investigation with 2 on-site visits and the good cooperation of the China MSA. Cause and analysis of the accident. Both vessels failed to sound signals according to the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea while navigating through restricted visibility area. Both failed to maintain the safe speed by going at speeds over the ground of about 10.7 knots and 13.6 knots respectively in restricted visibility within 50 meters. Neither attempted to avoid collision until they were in close distance while observing only radar. Only after Golden Rose was within 1.5 miles of Xinjiang and Xinjiang was within 0.7 miles of the Golden Rose, they took actions to avoid the collision. Also, the vessels too close to avoid each other should reduce speed to minimum, which she can be kept on her course and completely stop when necessary. But neither vessel attempted to reduce speed despite the risk of collision and continued to change their courses to avoid each other. Without taking the circumstances into consideration, number of lookout personnel was not increased. Furthermore, when taking action to avoid only with changing course, a vessel shall not alter her course to port side. Xinjiang greatly increased the risk of collision by altering her course to port without specific reason, while the Golden Rose was in an action to avoid collision. Sailing in fog. The international regulations for preventing collisions at sea states its special provision on conduct of vessels in restricted visibility on Section 3. Rule 19 regulates the standards of conduct in case of restricted visibility. They have interrelationship with the rules in the section of conduct of vessels in any condition visibility. In case of restricted visibility, many cautionary responsibilities are added. First, vessels shall have engines ready for immediate maneuver and proceed at a safe speed for the condition of visibility. The term safe speed is defined as to take proper and effective action to avoid collision and be stopped within a distance appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and conditions on Rule 6. Secondly, every vessel shall have due regard to the prevailing circumstances and conditions of restricted visibility. To do this, a vessel must increase number of lookouts and by alternating both long and short-range scanning of radars to get early warning of the risk of collision. If action to avoid has made, the effectiveness of the action shall be carefully checked until the other vessel completely passes and clears. Third, if a vessel which detected by radar alone approaches with no appreciable change of compass bearing, she shall take avoiding action in ample time. Actions to avoid collision are consisted of alteration of course and speed, when avoiding with alteration of course alone. She shall not make alteration of course to port for a vessel forward of her beam, other than for a vessel being overtaken. And shall not alter her course towards a vessel abeam or abaft the beam. Also, any alteration of course and speed to avoid collision shall be large enough to be readily apparent to another vessel observing by radar. A succession of small alterations of course or speed should be avoided. Fourth, when she hears the fog signal or another vessel in front of her beam, or cannot avoid a close quarter situation with another vessel forward of her beam, she shall reduce her speed to minimum so that she can be kept on her course. Reduce ship speed to minimum level, which she can maintain her course. If necessary, she shall take all her way off and navigate with extreme caution under until danger of collision is over. Also, use fog signal to make it easier for the other vessel to determine her condition and movement. Should also be shifted to manual steering mode when in areas of heavy traffic and narrow channels. Navigation light should be on even in daytime and when in restricted visibility. The master must be on the bridge to command ships the navigation. Ocean, great heritage for the next generation. Every person in the administration, industries, and seafarers should work together to keep our sea cleaner and safer. Korean Maritime Safety Tribunal.